beating you to getting mad. So beating you to getting mad is when the other person knows they're dead ass wrong, and they know that if you're not a person that likes confrontation, they know that by beating you to getting mad, they can make something serious out of something that's actually petty. So what that means is simple. This person goes around beating other people to getting mad, and the reason they do that is because if they can beat other people to getting mad, if they can get mad first and make other people back down, then it means they can screw over a very large number of people, right? And so they do this over very, very, very small things, and in every transaction they're going to get ahead. This is a very institutionalized person that does this. You will see this on the street. You'll see people do this. Basically, they're going to beat you to getting mad. They know the other person is going to back down because it's not a big deal, right? And so they do this every single time because they're winning every single time. Now, this is not a good long-term strategy, obviously, because nobody wants to be around that person. But this is how a small-minded convict person thinks, okay? So beating you to getting mad is just that. It's like they're wrong, but they're going to get mad first because it's not that big of a deal. You don't want to fight to the death over it, so they're going to back, the other person's going to back down. Usually you're going to see junkies do this, drug addicts, people like that. Very common tactic, and they act like you're the one being petty. They switch it up to where you're the one being petty, whereas, they're the ones not paying petty debts, right? So they don't pay petty debts. But they act like you're the one that's petty for wanting to collect a petty debt, when in reality a verbal agreement was made that you would pay this debt. So it's just flat out, it's deception, and it's some lowballing, like low-ranking, drug addict, bottom of the barrel shit. But you should be aware of it. I wouldn't stoop to their level and go to war with them over a couple bucks, me personally. I think the best thing to do is just cut your losses and withdraw from that person and never deal with them again, because you're probably not out that much in that kind of situation, and you don't want to get drawn into their shit, and then you want to let anybody know that's in your circle that that's the kind of guy you're dealing with. And it's pretty easy to deal with. So the second type of con artist, hustler type thing is you got people in there that they build up your trust. They pay back several debts, and they're actually using this to get credit so they can screw you later. This is harder to detect. You've been doing business with this person so long that in a way, when they finally screw you over, you're not even that mad, because if they do it right, they're only screwing you over on a moderate amount, and then they can see, like, look how much good business we've done, just this particular one went wrong. And so they look at you as a bank, and they look at themselves as having a good credit score, and eventually they cash out on you and they do a bad transaction, and they feel like they've earned it. And in a way, if you've been doing, this is just something to be aware of. And if they do it right and they don't screw you over on something huge and gigantic, you're not even going to get mad, because you're going to feel like, well, this is the first one that's went wrong. So this is a higher level scheme. This third one I'm going to call the bigger the lie. Okay, so this is the con artist that he plays on your wants and your desires, and whatever scheme he has is some super mystical shit out of this world. So he's got some fancy attorney that can get you out of prison, or there's this beautiful woman that wants to write you on JPay or Securus, and it's kind of like he's playing to your fantasies, right? So there's some big thing that you probably secretly want, and he wants to find it out because he's going to sell it to you, but he's not really going to sell it to you because he can't provide you this. But providing you the illusion of it, he knows you're willing to pay a lot of money to be able to whatever it is you're trying to do, right? So and so maybe you want a cell phone in there, and this guy doesn't really have a plug to get a cell phone, but he's gonna tell you that he can get one. Maybe you want to get out of prison, and I got access to lawyers, and he might even know some lawyers, but he's gonna like overemphasize like what he can do to help you get out. Like the law library schemers, stuff like that. This is somebody that is in the way higher levels of things. Like this is like a used car salesman type person, and they're going to find out what your dreams and aspirations and desires are, and they're going to do it through conversation, like casual, like conversation. They're going to figure out what is it that this person values, and they're going to try to sell it to you. Not every person doing this is a scam artist in prison either. There's some people that, let's say you value art, and they'll draw up some big giant thing for you. But I would say 90% of people in prison that have some big grand thing to offer you, I'd say 90% of them are full of shit. There's probably some kind of scam. They probably don't really intend on delivering what you want. At a bare minimum, it's going to be not as good as the sales pitch is not going to be as good as the final product, right? I worked with a jailhouse lawyer in there, and his sales pitch was like here, and his actual result was like here, if that makes any sense, right? So he was able to get some things done. He was able to file some motions that were successful, but that doesn't mean you're going to get out of prison. It just means that you've had a successful motion filed, right? It's things like that, and there's people like that out here, and you got to be aware of them. Anytime somebody is trying to sell you a deep desire, you have to you got to be on the lookout. Okay, if you're a below average looking guy and a supermodel is trying to come into your house and spend the night with you and have sex with you, she may be unlocking the door so armed robbers can come in. Okay, you got to be aware of these things. Anytime somebody's trying to sell you some ultimate fantasy, you got to think more often than not it is a scam, or at least the outcome is not as good as the sales pitch. This is on the higher levels of con artists in prison. Another one is the simple friend game. It's literally called the friend game. And the funny thing is where really being a friend to somebody and where the scam starts is it's such a gray area. This is one of the most brilliant scams in prison, because it's hard to even know where the genuine friendships start and where the scams end. If you befriend somebody in there that has a shit ton of money, and you don't have coffee for 1 week because you ran out of money for some reason, you need to borrow a bag of coffee. Here this guy comes and he gives you a bag of coffee because you're his friend and he's got a shit ton of money. And are you scamming this person by becoming his friend? If he's just a friendly dude, where does the scam start, and where does and there's no answer to that question. That's the truth. There's no fucking answer to that question. But are you genuinely really this person's friend, or are you just trying to scheme and play up under them? There's a lot of gray areas, and there's some people that genuinely are just poor and they want to have some rich friends, and I wouldn't say they're out to screw anybody over. They just, begging is a hustle in there. They say begging's not a hustle. Bullshit. It kind of is. So that is probably the most morally admissible of the scam artists, believe it or not, because they're just trying to I don't know, they just make good conversation with people, and you want to keep them caffeinated because they say outrageous shit and they have good conversation. So you give them a cup of coffee and spin them up and watch them go, right? And I had a couple people like that. I had a couple people that were so entertaining that I'd give them a cup of coffee just because of how entertaining it was to hear them talk. Were they scamming me? I don't think so, but it just depends on how you look at it. Another convict game, another criminal game is they have proof of a iceberg, but they say this iceberg is 1,000 feet deep and it's only 100 feet deep, okay? So I provide you proof of something, but the proof is only a facade, okay? It's a big thing, okay? So out here, Wes Watson is a perfect example of a guy like this, okay? He can definitely show the out front persona of, look, I got luxury cars, but when you really start peeling back the layers, you see, oh, this is an Airbnb. Oh, this is this is an OnlyFans model this guy's hanging out with. Oh, this is everything's rented, okay? The woman is a rental. I mean, even your freaking woman that you got is a rental, And I'm not saying Wes Watson rents woman, but Jack Doherty certainly does. We know that. But anyways, there's guys out here that, everything they own is rented. Their woman is a rental. It's an OnlyFans model, you know, escort. Their home is a rental. Their car is a rental. You know, I mean, everything, literally everything in their life is a rental. And then they go on YouTube and they tell you how rich they are. You know, you might think everything behind me is a big pile of shit, but at least I own it, okay? I 100% own it, 100%. You know, I'm not renting anything behind me. This place is really mine. So that's something to realize. You know, there's same type of things go on in prison with that. So, you know, looks can be deceiving. Just because you think somebody has one thing going on, they might have another thing going on. People that scam people all day can look like they're successful, but the success comes from the fact that they're scamming. And so the image they get, you know, it's like a fake it till you, it's like a twisted fake it till you make it. This is a very common convict scheme. Name dropping. Name dropping's another one. So there's a solid freaking person that everybody loves. And this person's like, oh, I know this guy. And he probably really does know this guy. You know, there's plenty of people that I know that say they know me because, I mean, yeah, they were forced into a room with me against their will. It's not like we knew each other. It's not like we were best buds, okay? There's literally like 1,000 people that do know me technically. But that doesn't mean we're best buds. And so if they name drop, oh, I know Jordan Jerem, name dropping is huge, okay? And especially not only in prison, but out here, you know. And you got to remember that. So if you got a photograph of you standing next to somebody, you know, you know, and people co-sign. That's another thing. You'll have two people that co-sign and co-witness things. So I'll give you a perfect example. Me and Jeremy DeWitt were jumping in Fallujah. There you go. I was there. I know he did it because I was there. You know, boom, co-signing, right? Yeah, some of you are not going to get the Jeremy DeWitt reference. If you don't get the Jeremy DeWitt reference, I feel bad for you. You know, but again, it sounds more realistic the more people that co-sign it. And so, yeah, it's, you know, co-signing, name dropping, 100%. That's a big scam in prison. Saying they have higher rank in a gang or some type of organization than they really do, as a seal of approval to get better business deals and stuff. Oh, I'm not going to screw you, bro. I'm high ranking in this or that. And they're usually going to tell another person that's not a gang member that, and they're going to use the gang to get a good deal with you and possibly screw you over. And because you're not a gang member, it doesn't matter what's said. Your word versus another gang member's word to that gang, one of their brothers versus your word. They have to believe one of their brothers. It's written into the bylaws of most gangs, okay? Pretending that you have a special relationship with a guard, and you may have a certain relationship with a guard, but acting like it's way better than it really is, right? Acting like you have way better connections with the guards than you really have, okay? So you talk to a guard for 5 minutes, and you act like you know this guy, like you went to high school with him or something, you know? Now, there was actually a guard that I did go to high school with at Swanee. If you're watching this, you know who you are, right? But anyways, like, basically, I've seen people do this. I've seen people act like they have a better connection with the guard. I can get something in here, this and that. Claiming somebody else's work as yours, particularly like violent shit. Okay, so if something violent happened in another prison, people heard about it, you get off the bus, oh, I did this and that. Actually, believe it or not, this is literally what J.D. DeLay is accusing Wes Watson of. I don't know. I don't want to get into that because I don't know. But this is a common thing, okay? So guys will hear a story about something somebody else did at another camp, and they will put themselves in that story as they're the ones that did it. And then they'll go to another prison, and they'll tell the story as if they were the ones that did it, knowing that the story is kind of floating around, and then other people will inadvertently become co-witness to that. They'll be like, oh yeah, I heard about that. You were the one that did that? And all the time, this guy's telling a story like he's the one that did it when he's not the one that did it. I've even seen people get initiated into gangs saying they put in work that somebody else put in. I've actually seen this before. And I don't know what category this one falls into, but I'm going to tell you guys a story. One time there was this jitterbug, young drug addict guy, and he came up to me and said, hey, you want to get a bag of coffee? Because we had just gotten off the bus somewhere, and I was trying to get a bag of coffee. I was seeing if anybody was selling it. I'm like, yeah. And he was acting all weird, like, just chill, bro. I'm going to get a bag of coffee. A couple days later, a bunch of big-ass dudes come up to me, and they say, hey, man, the hell you got going on? Like, you're supposed to pay us for this dope, right? And I said, dope? I don't do dope. I don't smoke dope. I don't have anything to do with dope. And so they pull the kid in, and they say, is he lying? And he said, yeah, he's lying. And they say, well, if he's lying, then beat his ass. I'm like, I'm not fucking lying. You told me about a bag of coffee. And they beat him up because they knew I was telling the truth, because they watched me. They'd never seen me do anything drug related. They've never seen me high. And so you literally had somebody use my name and my face to try to get drugs for free. And they beat that dude's ass. They beat him to a pulp. This is when I first got to the administrative management unit at Jackson CI. So, people use your face and use your name. So those are the games that convicts play. And, hardened criminals, people you meet on the street, these are the types of games they play. Yeah, there you go. Thank you guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the store. Check out all the amazing products I sell. I sell camouflage clothing. I sell charts. I sell all types of amazing things. There's something for everybody on my site. So just check it out. You don't got to buy anything. I just want you to look. That's all I ask. Jordan Jareb, signing off. See you on the next one.